Hi, I'm Romina. For most of my life, I thought family meant unconditional support, but sometimes the people who should love you the most are the ones who hurt you deepest. My high school graduation was supposed to be my moment. 4 years of hard work despite needing a wheelchair after my accident sophomore year. Instead, it became the day everything shattered. Romina, we need to talk about Saturday, Dad announced at dinner 3 days before graduation, his fork stabbing a piece of potato with unnecessary force. What about it? My graduation ceremony starts at 2, I replied, already sensing trouble from his tone. Mom cleared her throat nervously. Well, honey, there's been a scheduling conflict. My sister Vanessa jumped in eagerly. My dance recital got moved to Saturday. They're holding this massive showcase and I got the solo part. That's great, Ness. What time is it? I asked, still not understanding the issue. Dad put down his silverware with a clatter. It's at 2:30, which means we can't make both. Your sister has been working toward this for years. And I've been working toward graduation for 4 years, I replied, feeling my chest tighten. Everyone's families will be there. It's just a ceremony, Romina, Dad said dismissively. They'll mail your diploma anyway. Your sister's performance is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I stared at him in disbelief. So is my graduation. I've overcome so much to get here. Don't make this about your disability, Dad snapped. You always use that wheelchair as an excuse. The room went silent. Mom looked down at her plate while Vanessa shifted uncomfortably. I've never used it as an excuse, I said quietly, but I've worked twice as hard as everyone else to graduate with honors. I'm not missing it. We've decided as a family, Dad declared, his voice hardening. We're going to Vanessa's recital. You decided, not me, I replied, pushing back from the table. I'm going to my graduation. Mom finally spoke up, her voice barely above a whisper. James, maybe we could split up. I could take Romina to graduation while you take Vanessa to... Absolutely not! Dad cut her off. This family appears together or not at all. What would people think? They'd think you're supporting both your daughters, I said, gripping my wheels tightly. But that's never been the case, has it? Vanessa looked at me with conflicted eyes. Mina, I didn't know they'd reschedule. I'm sorry. It's not your fault, Ness, I assured her, though the tension remained. The next day, my best friend Tori came over to help me pick out accessories for my cap and gown. Your dad seriously expects you to skip graduation? Tori asked, arranging gold tassels on my desk. That's beyond messed up. He doesn't get it, I sighed, rolling my chair back and forth nervously. He's always favored Vanessa. Everything she does is special. And everything you accomplish despite legitimate challenges is just expected, Tori finished, squeezing my shoulder. So what are you going to do? I already called my guidance counselor, Miss Martinez. She's arranging for the school van to pick me up since Dad won't drive me. Tori sat on my bed, her eyes widening. How'd your dad take that news? I haven't told him yet, I admitted. I'm waiting for the right moment. That moment came sooner than expected when Dad stormed into my room that evening, face flushed with anger. The school called to confirm transportation details, he said, voice dangerously low. You went behind my back? I'm not missing my graduation, Dad. This family sticks together, Romina. Your sister needs our support. And I don't? I challenged. You've never even once acknowledged how hard... What happened next still replays in my nightmares. Dad's face contorted with rage, and he grabbed my wheelchair, my independence, and dragged it toward the hallway. Dad, stop! What are you doing? I screamed, trying to grab the wheels. You want to be so independent? Fine. Let's see how you get to graduation now, he growled before lifting my $3,000 custom wheelchair and throwing it down the stairs, where it crashed and bent beyond repair. He actually destroyed your wheelchair? Detective Morris asked, her pen hovering over her notepad. The police station's interview room felt cold and sterile, but nowhere near as cold as my father's eyes had been that night. Yes, I replied, my voice steadier than I expected. I recorded part of it on my phone when he started yelling. I didn't think he'd go that far. Detective Morris nodded grimly. Smart thinking. And how did you get here today? My mom's friend Diane brought me. She's waiting outside, I explained, gesturing to the borrowed hospital wheelchair I was using. Mom's still at home with Dad and Vanessa. Has your father been violent before? She asked carefully. Not physically, but he's always had a temper. Especially with me. I swallowed hard. My sister's always been the golden child. Tell me about your accident. The one that initially put you in a wheelchair. I hesitated. It was 2 years ago. I fell down the basement stairs when Dad was supposed to have fixed the railing. He said he'd get to it that weekend, but... Detective Morris's eyes narrowed slightly. Was that ever investigated as anything other than an accident? No, I stopped, memories flooding back. He was really upset that day, too. I'd gotten an academic award instead of Vanessa. Did he say anything specific before your fall? Detective Morris pressed gently. I closed my eyes, the memory suddenly vivid. He said I was showing off with my grades, that I needed to understand my place in the family. He told me to go get cleaning supplies from the basement. The light wasn't working. And the railing he'd promised to fix. It came loose as soon as I leaned on it, I whispered. He heard me fall but didn't come right away. A knock interrupted us as Officer Chen poked his head in. Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here insisting on seeing Romina. Says she's a witness. Miss Martinez, my guidance counselor, rushed in. Her usually neat bun was disheveled, and her eyes were red-rimmed. Romina, I came as soon as I heard. She turned to Detective Morris. I've been documenting concerns about her home situation for over a year. You have? I asked, stunned. I've noted several incidents where your father has minimized your achievements or prevented you from participating in school activities, Miss Martinez explained, placing a thick folder on the table. And I've recorded 3 separate occasions where you came to school with unexplained bruises. I didn't think anyone noticed, I whispered. I notice everything about my students, she replied firmly. And I've been building this case because I was worried something like this might happen. Detective Morris flipped through the folder. This is extremely helpful, Miss Martinez. Did you ever report these concerns? I filed reports with Child Protective Services twice, but Mr. Garcia is well respected in the community. Nothing came of it. Officer Chen returned, this time with Tori and her mother. We brought the video, Tori announced, holding up her phone. Romina's been FaceTiming me during the bad fights for months. I've saved everything. You didn't tell me you were recording those, I said, tears welling in my eyes. Tori approached, gripping my hand. You were always defending him, saying it wasn't that bad, but I knew someday you'd need proof. And there's something else, Tori's mom added, her voice tight with anger. Romina's accident 2 years ago? I drove her to the hospital. Her father refused to let anyone call an ambulance because of the cost. He kept insisting she was being dramatic even though she couldn't move her legs. Detective Morris's face hardened. That delayed medical care could have contributed to the permanence of her injuries. He said it was my fault for being clumsy, I whispered, years of suppressed realizations finally breaking through. Just like he said, this was my fault for being selfish about graduation. None of this is your fault, Detective Morris stated firmly. And we're going to make sure everyone knows it. I don't understand why you're doing this to our family, Dad said, his voice artificially calm as we sat across from each other in the courthouse mediation room. My temporary restraining order had been granted, but today was the hearing to make it permanent. I'm not doing anything to our family, I replied evenly. I'm holding you accountable for what you did to me. Dad leaned forward, that familiar manipulative smile appearing. Mina, sweetheart, I lost my temper. We all make mistakes. You know how much stress I've been under at work? Don't call me Mina, I said firmly. And stress doesn't justify destroying the mobility device I need to live independently. It was an accident. I didn't mean to damage it so badly, he insisted, his voice dropping to a whisper. Your mother is devastated by all this. Vanessa cries every night. My lawyer, Sarah Patel, interrupted. Mr. Garcia, this meeting was arranged so you could acknowledge the harm done, not to pressure Romina into dropping the charges. Charges? He scoffed. Over a family disagreement? This is ridiculous. Tell them, Romina. Tell them how we've always taken care of you. I met his gaze steadily. Like when you delayed getting me medical care after my fall? Or when you told the school I couldn't participate in the academic decathlon because it wasn't accessible enough, even though they'd made all the accommodations? I was protecting you, he insisted, voice rising. The world isn't built for people like you. People like me, I repeated slowly. You mean your daughter? Who you're supposed to support and encourage? I've sacrificed everything for this family. Dad slammed his hand on the table. Your medical bills nearly bankrupted us. Sarah tensed beside me, but I remained calm. Is that why you resent me so much? Because of the cost? I don't resent you. He backpedaled quickly, realizing his mistake. I love you, Mina. We can work this out as a family. Drop all this legal nonsense and I'll buy you a new wheelchair, an even better one. It's not about the wheelchair anymore, I said quietly. It's about years of you favoring Vanessa, undermining me, and making me feel like a burden. That's not true, Dad protested, looking desperately toward the mediator. She's always been sensitive, making mountains out of molehills. I have the evidence, Dad. The videos, the witnesses, the documentation from school. This isn't my word against yours anymore. His face changed then, the mask of contrition dropping completely. You ungrateful little... He half rose from his chair. After everything we've done for you, Mr. Garcia, the mediator warned sharply. You're just jealous of your sister, Dad continued, pointing his finger at me. She has talent and a future. What do you have? A diploma no one cares about and a wheelchair? The room fell silent. Even Dad seemed shocked by his outburst. Thank you, I said softly. For what? He asked, confused. For finally saying what you really think, I replied, nodding to Sarah. I believe we're done here. As we prepared to leave, Dad grabbed my arm. Romina, wait. I didn't mean... Remove your hand from my client, Sarah stated firmly. This isn't over, Dad hissed, tightening his grip painfully. I'll make sure everyone knows what you're really like. That's when the court officer stepped in. Sir, you're violating the temporary restraining order. I'm going to have to place you under arrest. All rise, the bailiff announced as Judge Watkins entered the courtroom. 6 months had passed since that day in the mediation room, and today was finally the sentencing hearing. My mother sat in the back, her face unreadable. We hadn't spoken much since she'd chosen to stand by Dad despite the evidence. Vanessa hadn't come at all. Miss Garcia, Judge Watkins addressed me directly after the formalities. Would you like to make a victim impact statement before I announce the sentence? I wheeled myself forward in my new chair, funded by the Crime Victims Compensation Program, and faced the courtroom. Your Honor, when my father destroyed my wheelchair, he didn't just break an expensive piece of equipment. He tried to break my spirit and independence. I took a deep breath. For years, I believed I wasn't worthy of the same love and support my sister received. I blamed myself for being difficult or too needy because of my disability. Dad stared at the table, refusing to meet my eyes. The wheelchair he destroyed represented freedom I fought hard to achieve after my accident. An accident that might have been prevented if he'd fixed the railing like he promised. My voice remained steady. But in destroying it, he gave me an even greater freedom. The truth, and the strength to stand up for myself even without being able to physically stand. Thank you, Miss Garcia, Judge Watkins said kindly before turning to my father. Mr. Garcia, you've been found guilty of destruction of medical equipment, violation of a restraining order, and endangerment of a disabled person. Do you have anything to say before sentencing? Dad finally looked up. I never meant to hurt my daughter. I just wanted what was best for my family. What was best for Vanessa, you mean? I corrected quietly. Dad's attorney shot him a warning glance, but he continued. Romina, please. I'm your father. I made a terrible mistake, but haven't I suffered enough? Think about what this is doing to our family. Judge Watkins interrupted. Mr. Garcia, address the court, not your daughter. Your Honor, Dad continued, his voice cracking with what anyone else might mistake for genuine emotion. I'm deeply sorry for my actions. I'd like the opportunity to make amends to my daughter. I shook my head slightly, and Judge Watkins noticed. Mr. Garcia, I sentence you to 18 months in state prison, with mandatory anger management and family counseling upon release. Additionally, you'll pay restitution for the destroyed wheelchair and Romina's therapy costs. Later, outside the courthouse, Tori hugged me tightly. You did it. I'm so proud of you. We did it, I corrected, including Miss Martinez and Sarah in my smile. I couldn't have done this alone. What happens now? Tori asked. With your mom and Vanessa? Mom called yesterday, I said. She's finally filed for divorce, and Vanessa texted to ask if we could talk. I'm not ready yet, but maybe someday. Miss Martinez squeezed my shoulder. There's no timeline for healing, Romina. What matters is you're safe now, and you're thriving. Your college scholarship came through, right? I nodded, smiling. Full ride to study disability advocacy law? You're going to make an incredible lawyer, Sarah added. After watching you in court, I'd hire you in a heartbeat once you graduate. That means a lot coming from you, I replied, genuinely touched. What about graduation? Tori asked suddenly. Did you ever get to go after everything that happened? I smiled, remembering. Miss Martinez and the principal arranged a special ceremony once I had a new wheelchair. It was small, but perfect. The entire academic decathlon team came, and so did all my teachers. And your mom? Tori asked hesitantly. She came, stood in the back. We didn't talk, but she was there. I shrugged. It's a start. As we headed toward Tori's car, I spotted my mother standing uncertainly by the stairs. Our eyes met briefly before she looked away. Do you ever think you'll forgive him? Tori asked quietly. I considered this as I looked up at the courthouse where justice had finally been served. Forgiveness isn't always the answer, Tori. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well without toxic people in your life. Even family? She asked. Especially family, I replied. Because real family would never make you choose between love and dignity. Have you ever had to stand up to someone who was supposed to protect you? Share your story in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.